machine learning and artificial intelligence has been around since the 50s, right? I mean, it's not new. We're using 1,000-year-old math equations to sort of solve these problems of what could we do with it. What we're finding is that actually one of the best forms of creativity is to figure out how to ask an interesting question of a data set that hadn't been asked before.
Sure. For instance, this cops, right? Image recognition probably tell you it's love what you make, right? But what we do is to try to understand what font is it, what style is it, and what color is it, what does that mean in terms of atmosphere, feelings, business implications, right? So I think that kind of data set is, no one built that data set yet.
And you need humans to train that, right?
Label
and that's
that.
Yeah, so that's the big thing. So when we always think about design, it's, yes, we're helping companies figure out how to use AI. And the first question we have to ask is, do you have data? And the answer is always yes. And then we have to ask this question, well, what kind of data do you have? And then we inevitably get a list of unorganized and inaccessible data. There's organized but accessible data. And so this understanding of what we really need to get to is a place of organized and accessible data. And so the first thing that a design firm can do is, through UI, we can collect some of the most important data that is required to get to a machine learning model if somebody doesn't have it already through experience. When clients come to us about designing with AI or for AI, is, what do you mean by AI, right? So do you mean something that is truly autonomous, like Watson? Or do we mean something that's augmenting? Or do we need something that's ambient? Or is it all of those things?
What would be your answer to that?
AI, artificial intelligence, is neither artificial nor intelligent. It's not a specific thing, it's not a destination, it's a spectrum with a trajectory. And so what we mean by that is that AI, depending on what we're talking about and depending on what sector we're in, we can replace artificial intelligence with ambient intelligence and augmented intelligence and automated intelligence, all the way up to autonomous intelligence. And so this proxy of AI has lent itself to this full spectrum from a design standpoint. And we have to know where best to apply that as designers for Frog. So I get asked a lot, what's our point of view on AI? And so we actually created an AI that has a point of view on AI that is unique to Frog. And so we had to give it a corpus to train it on. And so we sent a request out to everybody at Frog, and we said, well, what do you read? What is the prose that you use? So we created a collective brain, and we feed our AI with articles that frogs are reading. And so every time I get asked this question of, like, what's our point of view on AI, we can just ask the AI to give us a statement. And it's a little bit fun, but it goes to this idea of style. And I wonder what it might look like if we start thinking about machine learning models that have been styled or curated by a particular type of designer or organization style. I mean, that's a really exciting place to...
Well, I think the advantage of having a machine learning model in the design industry is that the recognition of style or this sort of personal expression from the designer-centric to the consumer-centric, which means that before we said, well, design is very personal, it's through the designer's point of view. And I guess with the machine intelligence, actually, it could turn to a consumer-centric sort of personalization.
And I think that that's actually probably what the next 100 years looks like, right? So we went from mechanical experiences to digital experiences, and there was a whole new language that needed to be created for screens. And now we're moving to intelligent experiences, and there needs to be an entirely new design language that needs to be created. Designers at Frog, what we find is that AI is really good at designing one specific experience, but experiences that humans want to have are a series of touch points or a system of thinking. And so AIs are really good at one thing, but not many things. And so we have to figure out a way to pull together a series of machine learning models to create a holistic experience.
Design is both an end result and a process. At the end result, probably digital file, it connects automatically to the industry. But the process itself is not yet digitized.
There's also this question and this thing that's really hard to quantify, which is the quality of design. And there's a lot of bad design out there, and all the really good design is pretty invisible. You only notice it when it's really bad.
But design can never prove their importance because it's a service layer. You could say, you know, our sales grow 100%, but we can't do that without design. But what design contribute to that 100% is very different to quantify. AI tap into the design process. You actually can trace how much that design contribute to the growth.
And I think the challenge for designers is recognizing that at the end of the day, the only thing we can actually design is the mechanic, which is the thing that you interface with. So we're working with a large grocer, people who sell food, and they have an online as well as a bricks and mortar presence. And so we have huge amounts of data, right? Because we have all the SKU data and we have all of the purchase data. And so we can use that in service of optimizing logistics for the organization and store design. But actually what we can also use it for is to help us understand clustering of archetypes. We're using AI as part of our design research exercise that goes from qualitative to quantitative design research. So that's, I think, the next 100 years is to go from what does intelligent experiences look like to what's next after that.